Bon dia. What's up, you guys? What's up, Jiu-Jitsu world? Hiron and Henner here with our friends, team of amazing black belt instructors from all over the world. And we were just having a talk right now regarding assumptions versus reality in Jiu-Jitsu. And this affects everyone. It affects the brand new student who watches UFC and thinks about doing a jiu-jitsu class but goes, no, man, I don't want to get punched in the face cage fighting. So they never do jiu-jitsu because there's an assumption. And if somehow that person makes their way to the mat, their assumption turns into a new reality, a different reality. And they do a class and they go, oh my gosh, this is completely different than what I expected. And the same way that assumption exists, there's also an assumption between jiu-jitsu instructors, right, who think certain things about what we're doing here and the instructor certification process, and that's why all these gentlemen and ladies in the other room are here, is for the ICP instructor certification program here at Gracie University. There are assumptions about the process and there are realities. And we invited these black belts behind us to share some of their assumptions before the reality. And then, of course, share their thoughts about the reality that they're living, not just here this weekend, but at their schools all over the world.
Yes, and a lot of the assumptions come from GracieUniversity.com.
Yes.
Kind of starts there. A lot of the talk about how we do things is because we have GracieUniversity.com, until they realize how GracieUniversity.com is the tool
that makes it all.
That makes everything possible, and that allows all of these guys to have successful schools and ourselves and reaches so many people. So we'll get into it right now.
Let's let them share their opinions because you guys have heard ours for many years. Starting with over here, Robbie from Australia. Tell them about your school, tell them where you're from, and give them the brief breakdown.
Yeah, hey, Robbie Singh, Gracie University, Berlin, a certified training center in Melbourne, Australia. If you want to come down and learn jiu-jitsu, we're always available for you. But I was talking to Henry the other day about the idea of what our curriculum was and where it is now. And we thought, we agreed that the entry point should be self-defense. We agreed that there needs to be a curriculum. We agreed that there needs to be a structure. We just didn't know if we should go with Henner and Hiron because of the things that we heard online, right? And you let those little things seep in to your brain that you don't really go and do the research on to meet the people or clarify by going on to GU and learning it. So we thought, hey, we want the self-defense. We love the curriculum. It's Gracie Combatives, 36 techniques to street readiness. We'll just have the street ready curriculum. It's the Women Empowered program. It's 15 essential techniques, for street safety. Let's just have the street safety program.
So you knocked it off.
We fairly much,
So let's be honest, how many people are knocking it off today? All over the world.
If they say they're not, they're lying.
So you knocked off Gracie Combatives, Women Empowered, straight off. And then talk about what happened and then where you went from there.
So we were just talking about how I met Hannah and I went to a seminar and I just wanted to. It was that idea of you need to do research. You can't just go off what people are saying. And if you do that, you're being naive in that situation. So I needed to go and clarify for myself. So when I met Hannah, saw legitimacy in his teaching and his interactions with people and the care to actually get self-defense across to people. But then there was also that teaching aspect that I was like, wow, not only is he passionate about what he's teaching, but he knows how to communicate to people. And I come from a teaching psychology background, and he's doing it better than I'm doing. I need to learn how to teach like that as well. So when I met Hannah, we were sitting at around 100 students, and we're going through our curriculum, and people are dropping out because they're not quite getting the information. And then go through ICP in 2016, and 3.5 years later, we're sitting at over 600 students, and people are learning the information, retaining it. Our advanced classes are bigger than ever because people have this vocabulary and this language and this connection on the mat that's universal between each other, and that's what helps them connect with each other. And the clarity came through just going through that process and going and educating myself, hopping on GU, learning the curriculum, going through it. So if you're ever doubting it or questioning it, educate yourself. It's the first step.
It's the first step. Okay. Anything else you guys want to add over here to this discussion?
Yeah, there's one thing. The biggest misconception I think that people have is that you get on GU and you watch these videos and then you take a multiple choice test and you get a belt. And it couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, that's the vibe that's out there. And it's exact opposite. I mean, you watch the techniques which are taught in detail, and then you get a partner, of course, you have to practice with a partner. Your partner's going to verify whether the technique works or not. You're going to troubleshoot. They give you sparring drills as well, and concepts and mindsets and strategies and whatnot. And then you have to film the test to send it in if you don't already have a CTC, if you're not at a certified training center. And they're verified by an instructor here. You can tell if the technique's working or not, including sparring videos.
Right.
You have to actually spar in the upper ranks. Once you get your Gracie Combatives belt. And even back in the day, Hickson started off with a blue bar, a blue tab at one point, to where you did all these techniques. He had a curriculum. You did the techniques, and then you did it without a whole lot of resistance. And if so, you got your blue bar. And that's the same thing as the Gracie Combatives belt. And then the next time you took your blue belt test is when you actually sparred and did things with resistance, which is how we do things now. And if everyone remembers, Grandmaster Elio Gracie, he learned by watching.
Right.
He wasn't a student in the very beginning. He was there watching his brothers do the techniques, and then he had to get on the mats one day and put it to use. And the rest was history from there. So, and everybody's online now. Everybody's online watching YouTube videos, everybody has technique of the week, or whatever out there. So everybody learns online anyway. You learn a move, you get with your buddy, you go in the gym and see if it works. If it doesn't work, you troubleshoot it. So it's already being done. And
so it's fair to say that the consensus is now that you can learn online.
Yes.
Things changed a little bit, right? Because there was a lot of hate in the beginning.
Everyone's been learning online for years. Like when I was a blue belt, we were buying DVD Jacare videos.
VHS videos.
We were learning videos back then. And now people are watching all these random videos on YouTube, this person. Why not just go to GU and watch it in a structured, informative process where it's taught consistently the same way so that you can understand it and interpret it the right way, rather than just this randomness of collecting stuff from the ether.
And as far as tools go, right? I mean, what was on the VHS tapes, even if you bought 18 instructors' videos, there's still like a tenth of the information that's on GU. It's such a comprehensive information source.
But with the video testing process, the assumption that's made about the video testing process is you send the video, you get the belt.
Right.
But here's the thing: if you think about any live evaluation done by an instructor without their hands on you, so if that instructor is not hands on, live verifying you,
Which
they're
most are
watching
not.
you,
Which most are not.
which
Right.
most are not. If that person's watching you, and they could watch you like a hawk, they can't rewind it. They can't go back, even if they spot you making a mistake, and they go, "Oh, can you go back and do that again, please?" That student's gonna Jerry that they made a mistake, and they're gonna fix it. With the video, you can't hide that. The video testing process is there's live verification. Okay, you feel it live in the hands of someone that has been there before you, but equally good, if those people cannot be there and they're not putting their hands on you, the video testing process allows you can rewind it 50
And
times
not just that,
and
though.
do it again and again and again and again. You're not getting away with anything.
Right.
Not just that, but it's the instructor will look at it, it's pass or fail. That's
Right.
it. Where here it's graded. You actually get a grade for every critical error you make in a technique. You get a deduction. So there's actually a score you get. And it's a very detailed feedback.
And just to be clear, when we talk about video evaluation right now, we're only doing it for Gracie Combatives belt. Right? It's the only belt that is happening for. And official belts, purple, brown, and beyond, obviously black belt, they come here. But purple and brown belt evaluations happen by these guys in their countries, in their states, all over the world. So once you reach a certain milestone in the curriculum, if you think you're ready, you do a live verification test for a more advanced, even blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, all these higher belts can be done formally in person.
Best versions of assessment, live variation and video verification and live verification working together, I put it to anyone to challenge that level of inspection, and people do what you inspect.
People do what you inspect. Carlos.
Guys, I'm Carlos Diaz from Destin, Florida. I have a school there in the northwest of Florida. And I started teaching jiu-jitsu as a purple belt. And I found I spent quite a lot of time creating this wheel of how to teach this curriculum, which I didn't have. So it was really ad hoc. It was really day to day. With Gracie University, with the structure, so much easier. Not only do I get to teach the classes in a sequence that people can actually assimilate the information a lot better, but even with private lessons, I just ask people when they come and visit from all over the world, what do you want to cover? What is your objective in the private lesson? And they'll usually tell me, I like to train back escapes, Simon controls, and I said, great. And then I have all of this library, knowledge of information where I can go and say, wow, I can do this, this, and this. These are the 3 lessons I'm going to teach them. And they walk out of there with so much knowledge as compared to, just 2 little things. So to me, as a teacher, it just makes teaching so much easier, so much better.
Having the structure, having the curriculum, yeah. What's that?
The ICP. So,
Yeah, in terms of the ICP?
Yeah, so the ICP, learning how to teach the curriculum is so important as well, because part of my stress would be walking into class and trying to convey the information and, different technique, trying to find a different way to convey it. But, being given the tools to be able to teach any technique with a very particular structure to it just allows you to develop your own confidence, because you walk into the room, you know how to teach every technique because you're going to do it a very particular way. Now the stress of teaching reduces, so your personality gets to come out, your confidence gets to come out, and now you just get built into this teaching machine that just gets to connect with people on the mat in such a different way that was happening before I had a structure to my teaching.
Right, and so for those of you who are black belts, before you were teaching, before you did the ICP, talk a little bit about the difference in precisely that, teaching as a black belt without a plan versus teaching with a structure, a curriculum, and all the teaching tools that we're providing with the ICP.
So I'm Jake Johnston. I have a CTC in St. George, Utah. I'm one of Pedro Sauer's original guys. Started with him in '93, started teaching in '95, I believe. And the way we always taught was like you would do a move, and it kind of depend. Like the guys that would show up the next day, you'd say, "Hey guys, we're going to get to the next part tomorrow," and then a whole new group of people would show up. I don't know if you guys have ever had that.
Yeah, everybody has.
A whole different group of guys.
That's the plague in
shows up the
jiu-jitsu.
next day, so you just start back over and over again. Just kind of stacking techniques on top of each other. But when I came in here, I realized that there's a whole different way to approach group classes too, which was kind of a big shock. Like, wow, it solved a lot of the problems that I'd had for like 18 years or something of teaching. And aside from that, I don't know if you guys have ever kind of thought of this too, but techniques are always online. You can find techniques on YouTube. You can find the VHS tapes. But I also think that the philosophy that's behind Gracie University is the engine that drives everything. And it's sort of like the ICP. The philosophy that goes into the teaching is kind of like the same way that the philosophy that we need to teach techniques is the way that, there's a whole philosophy on just teaching alone.
And I would just add to this, right? So all of us being black belts, we're running a school. What happens when you can't make class?
Right.
And what I like about this, right, is our assistant instructors have to come through this ICP program, so we know that they're delivering the information, maybe not as good as we are, but, right, they're on that course. It's very helpful to the students.
And what else? By the way, I'm Alan Manganello, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu in Louisville, Kentucky. And what's great about the ICP also is it teaches you not only how to deliver the information, but how to deal with problems that we have in the academies.
Everyday problems.
Yes, everyday problems. It could be a student that's getting bored, maybe too aggressive, maybe not confident enough, maybe a parent that's wanting to coach their kid in the class, and how to deal with all these things. And there's such an incredible amount of information or an incredible resource of how to handle these issues, and they don't become issues anymore. And,
right.
And your academy runs like a well-oiled machine. It's just amazing.
Shout out to Robert Davenport, Tulsa over here.
Yeah, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah, I trained for years. I started in '95. I traveled around. There wasn't a lot of jiu-jitsu in Oklahoma. So I trained with Voice, went to some seminars, Dallas, Texas, Carlos Machado. Trying to get as much information I could, the VHS tapes you guys all mentioned. The interesting part is after going through and being a part of Gracie University, the Gracie family and the vibe and the culture, you had mentioned that as well. It almost makes you a better person going through the ICP. Just learn how to deal with people and teach kids and just be around people. The vibe, and that really keeps you involved.
Excellent. Jeff.
Yeah. Jeff Kim, Certified Training Center in Elgin, Illinois. My first exposure to Henner was through GST, Gracie Survival Tactics at my academy. Before that, kind of like what I've read in belts, blue belts, people kind of not liking that idea. And I saw him take, there were about 30 U.S. Marshals at this event, and 15 of them, half of them had absolutely zero ground experience, like nothing. But big, tough guys, U.S. Marshals. So, but we have a drill that we did, the mount drill, top, bottom, out. And I was holding these guys 250 plus, no problems holding them up. I'm about $160, $165. By the last day, they were elbow escaping and getting in guard, and they were turning me over. And I'm like, what is going on? How can you take someone that has absolutely zero experience in jiu-jitsu, and I'm a black belt, and then by the end of the week, they are getting me in the guard. They are turning me over, and I was impressed. I was like, wow, okay, there's something to how they're teaching jiu-jitsu that's different from the way that I was teaching jiu-jitsu. Because I don't think I could have taken someone from day 1 and by day 5 have them be able to do this to a black belt.
And so you've implemented the programs at your school, and how has been Gracie Combatives, Bullyproof, these things that you've been running in the school? How's everything going?
You know, I'll tell you, the structure, the ability to take someone brand new, even someone that's not a U.S. Marshal, someone that is not in the best physical shape, and having them feel good about learning jiu-jitsu. I mean, I think it was impressive as to how you can get somebody that, I look at someone, when someone walks through the door, I'd be like, yep, okay, they can do it. Or they'd walk in and go, oh, that's not for them. But now it's like, whoever walks in the door, it's like, wow, with the structure that's there, anybody can do it.
Powerful. Because the question is jiu-jitsu for everyone?
That was Grandmaster Eddie's dream, right?
That was Grandmaster Eddie's dream.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the question is, its application for everyone is contingent not to the art, the qualities of the art, but the delivery method we use for the art. James, South Africa. Hold on.
I was watching, I've done a few ICPs, but it occurred to me yesterday, watching all of these black belts and purple belts, blue belts, combatives belts, all of these candidates, and I realized that the ICP is the ultimate playing field leveler. You don't need to be a black belt or a high rank in jiu-jitsu to be able to teach jiu-jitsu effectively and efficiently, and for everyone to be able to get it, because the ICP is so thorough, so comprehensive, that every candidate can sit there and walk out of here being able to very effectively teach anyone who walks into their academy. It's extraordinary.
Well, let's be real about that. Oh, Dave Kristich from Templestowe in Australia. Doors always open. But let's be real. Everyone in this room, I would hazard a guess, started their teaching career as a blue belt. You happen to be the highest graded guy in the room at the time, and that's what you did. You had no clue. You just happened to be there a little longer than everyone else, and you had really no plan. And that's the difference. You know, there was a lot of hate towards how can you have blue belt instructors? How can you have blue belt instructors running their own academy without the supervision of the all-knowing black belt? Well,
Well, so here's so the question is, just based on what.
But that's the perception is that is the case, but it is not true.
There's more
The assumption is they're on their own, but they're not, and the reality is those blue belts and purple belts are far better prepared and well versed in teaching methodology than we ever were.
And they're still being held accountable themselves.
Yeah, 100%. And let's be real. I fell for the online stuff, and I'm sitting here.
Bro, you were writing the online stuff.
No, I wasn't.
I know your background, bro. You were the architect of that whole online.
In reality, I was there in my own school. I've got this factory. I've maxed out all my credit cards trying to start it up, and I'm struggling. And of course, GU comes out in 2010. I'm secretly, the door closed. I'm creating my first account.
Pseudonym, not even your real name, right? Not even your real name.
Looking over both shoulders because I might get in trouble or something, like a kid's like looking at something they're not supposed to. And then this is really good. I'm already a black belt. This is really good. It's really good. And I look up, how do you become an instructor? How do you become yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's a little expensive, but it looks pretty good. And then, of course, I made the mistake that everybody makes. You listen to people that have not been there with their assumptions, and then you buy into that. And then, of course, I didn't end up squeezing the trigger on that until 6 years later. And that's after I met Henna. And Henna walks out into the middle of this seminar, and I'm like, I didn't even want to go. I'm like, I've seen the videos. You had to twist my arm to go there.
I'd be like, dude, come with me.
Come on, man. Right? And
Australia connection.
And I'm glad he did, because here's the thing. My impression was like, okay, I'm going to see another video. Henna walks out and says, okay, guys, love to be here. It's great to be here. Super personable. I'm like, okay, yeah, well, he's doing this seminar. And he said, you're going to be 2 rungs better at everything we teach today by the end of this seminar than you were at the start of it. And I'm like, oh. I promise. So someone's put it down. The gauntlet has been laid, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this guy thinks he's a bit big for his boots, you know. Anyway, I was, and I still use those techniques today.
Yeah.
And a lot of the assumptions about just the Gracie Academy in general, what we teach and what we're all about, I was like, oh no, they're all street and they're all self-defense and they don't keep up with the new moves. And if you're thinking that, then you have to come down with us.
I think it's interesting how you can critique something, but not even try. Just going by hearsay. It's like, if you are curious and if you're going to make an opinion, touch it first, right? So go to Gracie University, watch the lessons, try it out. But going on that note about how all of us started as a blue belt or purple belt, we probably started because we were probably one of the tougher guys at the time in our little world that we were in. But it wasn't because we were the best teachers.
Right.
It was just because we were the tougher guys.
It's like if you want to learn how to play guitar, you don't necessarily have to go to Eddie Van Halen to learn how to play guitar. If you can just find somebody who knows a little bit more than you do, that's all that matters. Yeah. You know, you don't have to always find the top person in the world to go to learn something. There's somebody right around you that knows more than you do.
Yes. And I'd just like to add, right? So, the very first one, 2008, I was like, oh. I went through the instructor program with Grandmaster Horian and Grandmaster Ilio, of course, here on Henner. And I was just like, man, and Henner kept saying, trust the system, we have this, we have this. Because when they left, they weren't there yet. But these video evaluation process that's done, they're able to critique them based on what their students are doing. So if they send 3 videos in and all 3 students make the same mistake, they know that teacher's making a mistake. And then Henner calls and says, hey, we gotta fix this.
It's the feedback loop mechanism that does not exist outside of that format.
So 10 years later, I'm watching all these guys that went through, and they're all freaking amazing.
Yeah, it's good to see the result. Now we're seeing the result. New York, let New York say something.
Hi, Christian Montez, Certified Training Center, New York City. A few things. So, on what Dave just said, the feedback loop. I think the ultimate validation is when you guys started, you got all this flack for it, and now every major jiu-jitsu athlete organization, so and so online, I haven't seen it, but they don't have this. They don't have this accountability for the instructorship. They don't have this quality control. And when I first started, when I went through the ICP, it was pumped. It was good to do it. I'll talk a little bit about what led me to there in a second, but just want to give a shout out to Howard Steele, Delaware Bushido, couldn't be here. So Howard, but he came up twice to guest teach, and the first time he came up, he'd been like in the organization about 5 years. I watched him teach class 17, and I was like, wow. Like I've been teaching for close to 2 decades myself, martial arts in general, and I was like, oh my god, there are levels to like I know the SPF, I just passed like all this other stuff, but I was like, wow, Howard is at a different level. And I could see that all the years he spent here with you guys, here with the Gracie family, and being evaluated and being held to that standard. And now when I teach, and this to Robbie's point, I don't have to struggle about what I'm going to teach. Now it's more a matter of really putting my all into it, where the most satisfying, after all this time teaching, the most satisfying moment I'll have is if I teach a really awesome class 21. I'm like, yeah, that was great. It's really about that. I've trained with the high-level guys. I've done all this different stuff, sport, this, that, MMA. And that is right now, in terms of how I can share jiu-jitsu, that is the most ecstatic I get at the end. All right, time, good job, guys. And then I'm like,
He did it. So the teaching growth at this stage. Tom.
Yeah, so Tom Chuckarell from Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Monterey, and I came to the system. I was a police officer, and I met Henner years and years ago, but when GST actually occurred, this is where the teaching methodologies really took off. And sometimes when you're teaching in that environment, it can be a little hostile environment. So what it gave me was a delivery method and a plan with the curriculum that we got, which was absolutely amazing. And then I start looking back at my jiu-jitsu journey that didn't have the structure, and you start connecting your own little dots, and you're like, let me go look at it. So you look at the curriculum and the structure, and you're like going, this is what I've been missing. You understand? I'm missing it, and now I'm sitting there like going, and then you get on GU, and then you start researching the instructor methodologies. The instructor methodologies, they just don't apply to jiu-jitsu. I taught my daughter how to back a car into a parking spot using SPF. We were teaching room entries using SPF, for just tactics. So it really applies to everything. And then getting back to the structure of the curriculum, is, I believe honestly, Gracie University is going to go down as the single greatest jiu-jitsu resource ever created. I mean, in 50 years it is, because it's going to be the first, it's going to be the original, and anybody who's going to structure jiu-jitsu from beginning to end in a sequential order, and if you, I mean, how can you not learn it?
And it starts with self-defense.
Self-defense.
They did the research to find, let's just cut to the chase, and did the actual research say what happens in real fights? What techniques will an untrained person do if you get in a real street fight with them? And here's the techniques we need to know. And they found the 36 techniques you need to know are the Gracie combatives. And when you watch it, and not just that, but then the reflexes you get on top of that, watching your students be able to get this down, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. And he said it starts with self-defense and it ends with self-defense. It's self-defense all the way through. Of course, mixed in with the very enjoyable game of jiu-jitsu, where it's two friends that are sharpening each other's swords, but at the same time, the self-defense principles never leave. And now, right now, at this moment, there are maybe 100 people in the room right here next door, and they're teaching to their small groups. And a while back, I was with an instructor who's been teaching for 30 plus years, and he said, never in my life, in my whole jiu-jitsu, in the 30 years of jiu-jitsu, I've never sat in a group of 30, 40, 80, 100 people and discussed how to be a better instructor, and just touched on all these different topics that you guys are touching on during the ICP. So for that reason alone, just these sit downs alone, this is priceless. That's what's happening. Let's go there right now and go show you exactly the energy that we're creating here at Gracie University.
So here they are, you guys.
So there's groups of, let's say, 3 or 4 people that are going through the ICP, 3 people, and there are another 3 certified instructors. So these 3 candidates are teaching jiu-jitsu, and the 3 certified instructors are watching and evaluating them at the same time. Instructors from all over the world, candidates from all over the world. Many are assistant instructors at already existing schools, and many of the candidates are planning on opening their own schools, wherever that may be. There's people here from Saudi Arabia and who knows where.
So there you are. Notes right here. Alex from Sweden taking notes on slice presentation formula. Chris right here, Scottsdale, Arizona. So they're evaluating each other, you guys. That's it. The existing instructors evaluate the incoming candidate instructors. That's how this process works. So in order to be an instructor, you have to get the validation, the approval, and the guidance of the existing instructors. And through this quality control process, through all instructors verifying the incoming instructors, it's a never-ending cycle of creating better instructors. And every time these evaluators come back to help us evaluate new candidates, they get better as instructors themselves and they learn new ideas. So it's very simple. Trying to teach jiu-jitsu without a teaching formula, a structured curriculum, and an administration plan for your business is like getting into a street fight without knowing jiu-jitsu. Disaster. So if you wouldn't get into a street fight without knowing jiu-jitsu, why would you run an academy without knowing how to teach jiu-jitsu? And for those who think you know how to teach but never had any formal instruction on how to teach, you're wrong. The room full of black belts, they thought they knew until they realized they didn't know, and they had to learn what they didn't know in order to realize that. And and this is not coming from an arrogant place. It's coming from the fact that besides choking people out for 100 years, the Gracie family is almost 4 generations now of teaching jiu-jitsu. So we have the unique privilege of being members in a family where for 3 generations, our father, our uncles, our grandfather prioritize how to transfer information. And now we've packaged that into a course and we deliver it to you guys. So if you have a school anywhere in the world teaching jiu-jitsu, make it a certified training center. If you don't have a school but you love jiu-jitsu, you don't have to be a black belt to open a school. Okay, you can be new to jiu-jitsu, learn Gracie combatives, learn Gracie bully proof, and just teach level 1 basics of jiu-jitsu in your community. And then as your skill level grows, your certification level will grow from level 2, level 3, level 4. But there's no misleading the public. There's nothing to lie about. When you're a level 1 instructor, you're only teaching the basics, Gracie combatives and Gracie bully proof. But that's all your students need. right? That's all your students need. They come in, they learn Gracie combatives, and they love it. You don't need it to learn guitar. You don't have to go to, what does he say, Eddie Van Halen to learn guitar. You just need someone who's a little bit better than you, but who knows how to teach you. It's not about what you can do to your student, it's about what you can do for your student, and these instructors are all being equipped with the most valuable tools to make that happen. So any questions about the ICP, go to gracieuniversity.com/instructor, I think, or just go to gracieuniversity.com, and there is an ICP section, instructor certification section there on the home page. We'd love to have you guys look into it. Don't knock it till you try it, and it's very simple. Like all these guys, if you become a certified training center later, the number one regret you're gonna have is that you waited 7-10 years longer than you should have. So spare yourself the 10-year delay and get with the program. Much respect, we'll see you guys on the mat.